Thanks, Richie. It's a really important part of the process for you guys. Whatever big idea you come up with is to understand who your audience is, who's your customer going to be, who's going to buy whatever it is you come up with. So it's a really strong message. So thanks for that, Richie. So the next person you're going to hear from is Fincher. Gone from Richie to Fincher. So Fincher's got an amazing story to tell you, which is, so what you just heard from Richie is an example of an entrepreneurial idea that's going to make you money to put back in your own pocket. What Fincher's going to talk to you about is a business idea which is about making money to provide opportunities for other people beyond yourself. So it's got some kind of community or social benefit to it. So Fincher's been working as an entrepreneur on stuff that he wants to bring to market that will have a positive impact on the world within which he lives, and particularly the community. So he set up this program called One Egg, One World, and it's about starting with an egg and making $1 million worth of money to give away to charity. So let's welcome Fincher to the podium and he can tell us all about that.
Sorry guys, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so bear with me. Just see if this works. Yep, great. Alright, so yes, my name is Fincher. I am one of a 3-man team called One Egg, One World. Together with my friends CJ and Josh, we started up a little business idea that decided to turn one small egg into $1 million. Now, it's actually kind of funny when we look back. I thought I'd go back as to how this idea came about. And it actually came about through a sort of unthoughtful birthday present. So, CJ was turning 22. Joshy and I thought it'd be a great idea to go out and buy him something special for his birthday. So, we were living together at the time. We were studying at Deakin Waterfront in Geelong, living down just off Paxton Street. So we decided to head to the local Avery and buy 3 chicks. Why not? We thought it'd be great for the house, we could have eggs on the weekend. Be a fantastic idea. And initially, we were just sort of having fun with them. Facebook had just become a thing at this stage. This is how long ago it was. So we actually set them up with a Facebook page. We had fun with them. We lived next door to a train line, so we made up a motto that they had, fun by day with the trains and lived on the town on the night. We had lots of fun with them. We'd put photos up. We actually had their own Facebook page, and they actually had about 4 times as many friends as we did on Facebook. And we're like, okay, there's something wrong here. We've got to be able to use this to our advantage somehow. And being young kids, we wanted to start something. We knew that we wanted to start something. We were charitable minded. We didn't know what. And being architecture students, don't know if you've heard about this, but we like to spend long nights in what's called the studio. And then one night, Josh walks in, he goes, oh my God, we've got our very first egg. He decided to call it Chuck Dickens because we had a duck as well, and Chuck is a combination of chickens and duck. So we had our very first egg, Chuck Dickens. A couple of nights later, CJ goes, oh, have you heard about this guy from Canada? He had a red paperclip, and he just somehow discovered a way to turn that red paperclip into a house. We looked into it. He decided to uptrade, which is where you grab an item of small value, you trade that for an item just a bit more value, and then you keep on doing that. You go up and up and up until you end up with something amazing. This guy started off with a house. And CJ goes, why can't we do that for charity? Like, this guy's done it for personal gain. Surely we could do something for charity. We just had the egg. And so, One Egg, One World was born. And we decided, you can't just have an idea, you've got to set a goal, something that's just got to roll off the tongue. And originally the goal was going to be $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Ended up becoming $1 million, which hopefully, won't see our doom. But we set the goal at $1 million, and I think that was really catching for a lot of people. An egg to $1 million. $1 million just rolls off the tongue. It's what we wanted to do. But we needed to decide where the money was going to go. So we put our thinking caps on, and being the credible, well-educated university students that we are, we developed an amazing master plan, which this is actually the very first drawing we ever did, which had the egg. plus friends equals $1 million. And we decided that the money would be split up between the environment, poverty and education, and health, leaving 10% to One Egg, One World to work on future projects. So with the environment, we decided with our charities, when we decided which charities we were going to support, we thought, we're starting from nothing and we're growing into something amazing. And we thought we'd look at the homegrown charities, the little charities, not your World Visions, not the Red Cross, the charities where, $300,000 would just go so far, would do so much. So for the environment, we got into a charity called Cool Australia. It was set up by a man named Jason Kimberley. And with the environment, it's very hard to find charities which aren't based in the government. So he deals a lot with the education, and he actually goes out to schools. He started off with 100 schools when we first met him, going out to schools and teaching about environmental principles. He now deals with close to 5,000 schools across Australia, and he's growing yearly. He's now got a staff base of 30 when he started off with him and one supporter, so he's going great. Poverty and Education is a young group called Orphan. They run completely off volunteers. They deal a lot with orphans in the third world country. And the health is traditional healthcare on Moringa Project. They deal a lot with traditional healthcare projects both here in Australia and Aboriginal communities and in India and Pakistan as well. So with that money going to those places, we figured that we can do a world of good. But how did we get to where we are now, or where are we now? First of all, we started with the egg and we had to make our first trade, which was for the Conehead soundtrack. It's a great movie back in my day. We traded the Conehead soundtrack for a Boggle board game, which we then traded for the Lonely Planet Guide to Europe. Budding Young Traveller traded that for a digital clamour and an Islamic alarm clock. We then traded that for a car, which turned out to be just a Toyota. And it wasn't very good, so we took it into the records for $100 in cash. But that got us a signed Sir Donald Bradman cricket bat, which we then traded for $2,200 in cash, which we then traded for a safari for 2 to Kenya, including flights, which we then traded to, now this man in the middle there, I got a laser. This is an Archibald winning artist named Craig Ruddy, and that there is Kathy Freeman. So we got Craig Ruddy to agree to go on a safari and get Kathy Freeman to sit down for the portrait, what was actually entered into the Archibald prizes, if you can see it here, which is, I still just think it's an amazing portrait. So we had that portrait, which we then sold for $20,000 in cash, made it rain, which we then traded for 100,000 eggs. Now we've gone from that 100,000 eggs to $30,000 in cash, which we then traded with Richie's Supermarkets. We then traded that for 60,000 rolls of toilet paper. So the toilet paper was a company called Who Gives a Crap? Excuse my language. Another great organisation. They sell toilet paper online. They deliver it to your door, and it's reusable, biodegradable toilet paper. Well, not reusable. That's horrendous. Sorry, I'm a recyclable toilet paper, biodegradable. And the money that they raise actually goes to setting up sanitary projects in the third world country. So they're a social entrepreneur group, so we thought that we could support them if possible, we would. So then we traded that, had our 60,000 rolls of toilet paper, which we then cashed back in for money. We're sitting currently at $50,000. So through this, when we started, it was about 6 years ago. So as you can tell, 6 years from an egg to $50,000, still impressive, but there have been a number of challenges that come up, and I'll talk to you about them today. One thing that you're going to get is negative people. Now, negative people, the people on the outside who will boo-hoo your idea, they're easy to brush aside. The people who are close, and this is going to sound very weird, I was actually probably one of the most negative people on this project when it started. I boo-hooed the idea to my friends straight away and said that we'd all agreed to start it together, but I didn't want any part of it. They eventually turned me around, and here I am today, 6 years later, telling everyone how great of an idea it is. So it's amazing what you can do if you just persist with your idea. If you have a strong idea, if you believe in it, Don't let other people get in your heads, because you need to go through. You'll never know unless you've gone all the way with it. We went all the way, and now we're here. There will be setbacks. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes you have to take a few step backs to go forward. We've had a couple of issues. The safari sounded like a great time. We got a phone call from the artist who went on the safari, saying, unfortunately, you've put us in the hands of a con man. Turned out the guy who took our money for the safari was a bit of a con man, and the safari wasn't all it bent up to be, and the artist ended up nearly getting eaten by a lion. So it was a bit dodgy. We've made some friends in the industry. They were able to help us out. We got out of that one scot-free, so we're very lucky there. We even had a little campaign that we ran at some point called, we really wanted to get flights into space with Virgin Galactic. If you guys know Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson, Virgin. So we decided to run a campaign called Get Virgin Laid. Now, yes, that's the idea. So we ran the campaign for about 3 months. We put a lot of time and effort into it. We had flash mobs, we made movies, we put everything on the internet. We went absolutely crazy to eventually get a letter from him to say, unfortunately, I cannot make the trade at this time. So unfortunately, that is going to happen, but persist. I can guarantee you that if we get up to the next bit, we can get up to that $100,000, which we think we can do in a couple of weeks' time, fingers crossed. Then who knows, maybe he'll open his door. He's opened it once, we'll go again. But there's not just challenges, there's also some very great experiences. I'd say the moment it started turning around for us was when we got a phone call one morning. We'd just traded for the $2,200 in cash. We got a phone call from Channel 7 director who said that we'd like you to be on the morning show. Like, oh, wow, yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, oh, so you'll cross to us from here? He's like, no, we'll fly you up to Sydney. So they flew us up to Sydney, and we were young kids. We go up and stay in a nice hotel, and they bring us into the show in the morning in the chauffeur-driven car, and it was great. And then The Age called and said, we want to do a photo shoot with you. And the same day, we're like, oh, wow. And then same day, Triple M called and said, we want to do a radio interview, and we were just overblown all these experiences. The Age newspaper that year decided to put us in the top 100 most influential people in Melbourne. To us, we were kids. We just had a crazy idea to turn an egg into $1 million, and all of a sudden people were looking to us. We had a website called Plan Big, which is set up by the Bendigo and Adelaide Banks. It was a website where if you had a small idea, you could go on there and get support from a group of other people who had these great ideas, and they would help you out. And they looked at us and said, your idea is great, we want to hear from you. They put us on the board of this website, and here we are, 23-year-old kids who have just started up this charity through a sleepless night at uni and a crazy birthday gift, and we're sitting up there making decisions on the direction of a website. And it all started just through persistence. And where are we now? Well, we've learned a lot through what we can do. A lot of what we've learnt, we did architecture at uni, so we didn't do business, we didn't do tax or law or anything like that. Nothing that came down to management in any kind of way. We were just designers. We drew lines on pieces of paper. But through what we've done with 181 World, we've learned so much. We've learned to persist. One of the key things you can learn is how to walk in somebody else's shoes. Richie before was talking about how, know who wants it. What you got to understand is who wants it, why would they want it, what would you need to give it to them. Every time that we do a trade, we have to think, this item that we're about to trade for, who is going to want that item, and what would they want, or what could they give us in return? We have to think ahead. We learn all that on the go. Like, we've had to negotiate, we've had to set up events. We've never done that before. We're just young. We've raised $50,000 for the Kathy Freeman Foundation. We'd never run an event before. It's just learning on the go is what you do. And being a social entrepreneur or starting out, it gives you life experiences that you never believe. And 181 World isn't my number one job. It's something I do on the side. I'm working 70 to 80 hours a week at my current job, working for a builder in Melbourne. Josh is a creative director at his own design company. CJ is a project leader at one of Australia's biggest retail design companies as well. We've grown. We're 3 years out of university, and we've already grown so much. And I think that a lot of that comes down to what we've learnt through being an entrepreneur and through starting our own company and learning on the go outside. It's just sort of amazing what you can do. If you just sort of persist and take a small idea, you just never know where it'll go. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Finchie. That was terrific insight into how tough it can be and how important it is to persist and be patient, because that sort of stuff pays off.